Future trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Welcome to Grain Gab, a show where we sit back and gab about what's on our minds with the grain markets and how it's affecting you, our producer, and just what to do about it. Look, these grain markets are forever moving, crazy, and can be downright emotional. That's why we're here to sit down, to look at things holistic, and find a strategic yet grounded approach for handling the obstacles that the market may give us. I'm Lori Nelson, your host, and with me is Kristin Stien. How are you doing today, Kristin?
I'm doing very well. We are going from like negative 20 degrees last week to I think today we're supposed to reach a high of 59 degrees. So I'm all full of like piss and vinegar this morning, just
Oh,
ready
here
to
we
get out
go.
there. Here we go. And now you have to listen to me for the next 15 minutes. So let's do it.
So, what do you got in your cup?
Oh, my kids call it my yucky water.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, and just a bunch of supplements and stuff like that that apparently they don't they call it the yucky water, yet they drink out of it, so I don't know whether it's really yucky or not. How about you? I mean, you got a mason jar down there in Missouri full of something that we're not gonna talk about?
No, just water, and geez, the kids always would grab my water and drink out of my water.
Their
Welcome to
water
the
does
club.
not taste the same.
Yeah, right. And they can't
I
walk
get
over
it.
to the fountain and fill it up. So, well,
So, what are we gonna talk about today, Lori?
this month the market's been pretty friendly to a grain producer. We had the USDA report. Corn exports have been good. Old crop contracts have approached the 1 year highs. December 25 corn's in this just really nice upward channel and trading within that channel. I think those are some things we want to discuss. And I think we kind of want to talk about maybe a new outline for us in the program here on Grain Gab. So if we just step back, the USDA report we had a couple weeks ago, that's kind of old news, but what's this all mean going forward, Kristen?
Talk to me a little bit more what you mean by the USDA. That was the most recent one. We're a couple weeks out of it. How's it digesting it?
The markets grabbed a hold of that 1.5 billion bushel ending stock number and kind of kept trickling up there a little bit. Exports have been good, ethanol's been good, and it's been just a great opportunity to be selling some old crop and stepping into selling some new crop corn.
Fair enough. Good
World
opportunities ahead of us, right?
Yeah, world ending stock numbers, they tightened up a little bit on corn in that report. So, yeah, like you said, good opportunities for us.
I think that's what we want to view these rallies as, right? Nobody ever knows where the highs are. Nobody ever knows where the lows are. We just need to be able to do best with what we're given. And you had talked a little bit before about how we're switching up this model a little bit. For a long time, we've talked about the marketing rules that are at like present with us, right? And we want to continue to bring up those marketing rules. Now it's just a matter of what to do with them, right? And how do we help coach guides? And I think we want to take a little bit of approach of let's talk about what the skills are needed in the grain marketing world to help us become successful. This time of the year is a time where we spend a lot of time talking about cost of production. And we want to spend a very long time sitting and talking about that for a couple different reasons. This morning, as I was going through my email, I read an article that said the American Farm Bureau Federation, Samantha Oyub, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, reported last week that the U.S. courts report that 216 farm bankruptcies were filed in 2024. This is up 55% from 2023. This is still 64% lower than the all-time high of 599 filings in 2019. However, 2024 is the end of a 4-year downward trend in bankruptcies, which appears to mark a turning point in long-term farm financial health. Why do I bring that up, Lori?
Yeah, we truly need to know our numbers.
Yeah, because my good old buddy, I think I'm a buddy of his. He doesn't know who I am at all. But Dave Ramsey once said, business is really not that hard. You are, however, required to do the basics or you will not win. And what he was referring to was budgeting or knowing those numbers and having a marketing plan or expense management and income projection.
I would just add, as we've been working with farmers for several years now.
We won't talk about how many years you've been working
Yeah,
with farmers,
yeah.
Lori.
But how can you move forward if you don't have these numbers? How can you move forward in business and you don't know these numbers?
Yeah. And so often, I mean, when we talk about with guys about getting to know their cost of production and truly honing in on that number, we get a few pushbacks, right? First one would be, well, the markets don't care where my cost of production is. Why should I? That is very true. The markets don't give a hoot where your cost of production is the measurement of supply and demand, right? And it's the price discovery of that market is very real time and right in front of us and transparent. That makes your part of the business super easy and not trying to figure out what is a fair market price for this. We already know what that dollar amount is, right? It's written right on our screens. So the market doesn't care where your cost of production is, but you do. And this is why we spend so much time with producers on this. Because at the end of the day, for you to be able to market your grain confidently, you have to know what your number is, or else emotions get in the way in a way I can't even describe. I've watched it time and time again, so I can't describe how important this is.
Good point, Kristen. Good point.
The next pushback I usually get is, well, I don't know where my costs are going to be. I don't know if the combine's gonna break down. I don't know if I'm gonna put on fungicide this summer. Depends on how dry it is. I don't know. I don't know. X, all these different variables. Okay.
All that I know becomes a bigger I don't know.
Yeah. And then it just puts you into this level of despondency that we don't do a darn thing when we're given markets like we are right now because, well, we don't know. And I would challenge that. And this is what we want to spend a good amount of time on today, right? Let's go through each of those costs and talk about what we do know. Because at the end of the day, a business, which is what your farm is, a business spends time projecting what their expenses will be. And then they spend time at the end of the year seeing how far off was I and where did I miss the mark and why did I miss that mark? They
How do
do
I
both.
improve it for next year?
Bingo. And so a majority of the producers that we work with have been doing this for a long time. We have historical numbers. So when we go through things such as seed and fertilizer and chemical and fuel and trucking and rent and interest and cost or hired labor, all of those numbers are numbers that we have data on. Whether it's from calling up your agronomist or your seed salesman and saying, hey, what are my costs going to be this upcoming year? Give me a very close as you can ballpark estimate as to what that is. Or we're going back in time and saying, gee, what was my average fuel consumption this past year? What did I pay that fuel man? And do I think that fuel prices are going higher or lower this upcoming year? Spend the time going through each of those individual pieces. Same thing with rent. We have a pretty good idea what your rent number is going to be, unless you have a flex lease, but then we can do some projections that way as well. So spend some time on each and every one of those things. What am I missing here? Planting, tillage,
Harvesting expense.
harvesting, thank you, and any other like random machinery costs. You can do this two ways, right? You can look at your actual data and sit there and say, okay, my average depreciation was this. My average repair bill over the last 5 years was this. I typically replace this set of machinery every so often. Start backing that number into that. If you don't want to spend the time going through your individual history. And what I challenge guys with this is if you think your machinery costs are above average or at average, spend the time on your individual number and really hone in on that. If you think you're way less than that average, fine, then let's go and look at the Iowa State custom rates and what they put out for numbers and then do the math on, okay, this is what I have for a planter, this is what I have for tillage, this is the practice that I use, so on and so forth. This is what I hire, X, Y, and Z. Fill in all those numbers, okay? And what we want to do is you're going to start to pull together a total dollar number, and all we're going to do is start backing that out per acre. The other things we want to make sure that we include is insurance, interest, and cost of living. All those numbers are readily available as well. It just takes the time to sit down and look at what they are. Right now is tax season, perfect time to be doing that because all those numbers are readily available from having to do that anyways. So sit down, pull all those dollars in together and divide it out appropriately for corn and beans because we don't put near as many dollars into bean acres as we do corn acres. So make sure that's split appropriately and then divide it by the number of acres that you have with that. That'll give you $1 per acre break even because then we get what pushback on us, Lori. I don't know what my
Cost per bushel is?
why wouldn't I know my cost per bushel?
Well, you divide your total dollars per acre by your APH.
Thank
And
you.
that gets you your bushel per acre.
By your
Your
APH. Because at this point in time, you do not know what harvest is going to bring for you come fall.
It's an estimate. Just like we're
Yes.
trying to get into the break even, an estimate for you to start with.
Bingo. Bingo. This is an estimate, and that is an accurate estimate. That is your true history. It's not only a number you can rely on because of its accuracy, but it's also a number you can rely on because that's how you're insured, right? In the next episode, we'll start to break out what that looks like to understanding what those risks and opportunities are, but it gives us that idea as to how many dollars do I need per bushel to break even on this, which then equates to how many dollars per bushel do I need to sell this crop for or really start getting aggressively sold because now I'm in the black. Right. And so it really starts to help us understand and get our head around what that marketing plan should look like, AKA income projection, because I've done the expense management. I've done the budgeting side of that.
Right. And I'd encourage all of you, if you haven't, newcomers, if you need help getting that cost of production, take a look at those custom rates to get something started for you. And then you can fine tune it as you go. It's a fine tune. It's never set in stone because things change. Your repair bills change.
We can have page link a PDF version of the blank cost of production worksheet that we hand out to guys to get a start on. If you ever want help going through that and really honing in on those numbers, feel free to give us a call. We're always happy to help that way. What
Anything else,
Lori?
Kristen? No, I think thanks for joining us on this episode.
Hey, don't you try to get out of this again. I'm not going to do all the talking here. Once again, we have to get to know you. So, we've got the questions for humans. All right. These are fairly easy for you, Lori, so you should thank me offline. Okay?
Okay.
What's a song that makes your ears bleed?
Makes my ears bleed?
Yep.
What's that mean, Kristen?
You do, like where you're just like, no, I don't want to listen to this song anymore.
Oh, yeah. It's not just a song. It's just I just don't handle rap music very well.
Oh, what? Now, I've seen you like in my own car get down to some rap music, so I don't believe that. I've seen it. Don't believe anything she sells.
I'm going with that. I'm sticking to it.
All right, next one. What are a few simple things that make your day better?
Fruits of the spirit. Love, peace, joy, love, patience, kindness would be what makes my day better.
Fair enough. And for any of you that don't know Lori personally, she makes me want to be like her, which is a much more patient person than I, because she deals with me all day. So, on that note, I hope you guys all have a great and patient day.
Very good. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Grain Gab. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and hit the like button. It helps us in our algorithms. Thanks to Paige
Don't
and the
forget to
Insights
share
team.
too.
Thanks to Paige and the Insights team for making us look good. Until next time, keep your head up, your feet grounded. And cheers.
Cheers.